Gotcha. Look at this. Look at the size that he is. Well, look at that. Just like it's designed to do. This is one of the bigger rat traps. And I got the sucker. One down, a few more to go. Critters on the Homestead. The unwanted ones. Alright, so look what I got. I got another oversized mouse or rat or whatever. Alright, so in this trap, here's what I've done. If you notice in this trap, I have this guy here, stake in the ground. I have this heavy block right here, and I have these barrels that aren't going anywhere. Now, the critter is dead, and here's why. It's a live trap, but what's happened is I set this on a Friday about 9 a.m. I left town, and here it is, Sunday at noon. I just got back on the property. I went to Phoenix because I went to the ASU football game and they won, and helped out my brother-in-law with some work. So anyhow, so he's been in there for like what, a good couple of days. So there's no poison or anything in there, but I'm sure he just died because 2 days of no food. So anyhow, now the reason why I did this was because I had this item here sitting over here, right here, and I had a rock about the size of so I had the rocks about the size of these guys here. Now these are lightweight lava rock cinders, so they're pretty easy to move. I had one sitting on one side and the other sitting in the back, and why I did that I'm not too sure, but I just had them laying around, so I put them there. And when I checked the trap at the time, I didn't video this part, but when I checked the trap, the rocks were gone and the trap had moved, and I had set the bait as a Cheez-It cracker with peanut butter on it, but I set it underneath and I put the trap over it, hoping that the critter would walk inside, set the trap, because he couldn't get the cracker out. But instead what he ended up doing was he ended up just moving the whole trap itself. That is why I did this. That's why I blocked this in, and then what I did was I put, let's see if you can see some of them still there. If you can see right there, that's cranberries, dried cranberries. So I put those down in there so that, and that was underneath the trap that's on this, underneath the trigger on this trap. So he had to get on the trigger, and sure enough, it finally set. So that took care of him. Now, the other issue is I had sitting right over here, I had the wooden trap, the old-fashioned wooden trap for the rats, and that trap is gone. What happens sometimes is they'll get, the trap will set them, catch them, but there's still two legs available, either the front legs, back legs, whatever, and then they try to run off with it. I can't find it, but I'm going to keep looking for it. It's going to be interesting to see where it went. Alright, so I found the trap, so get this. From here, if I walk just right over here, and then I look inside this tree, look what I see. There's my rat trap. It definitely got him in the head area, but his hind legs and his other legs, he was able to crawl around and worked his way clear over here somehow. So I've got 3 big guys. I had set some little ones, and the little ones so far have not been been set. So I got them kind of randomly around my trailer. It rained the other day, so when you look at it, you kind of see some of the mud that splattered up on it. So nothing is getting inside my trailer, but one thing I want to point out is this. On one of my other videos, I showed steel wool. And let me actually get the steel wool and show you what I used. Alright, so steel wool. So on my trailer, I had placed the steel wool. And the steel wool is supposed to be uncomfortable for them. This had different types of grades. I got the coarsest I could to put in there. The steel wool helped for a short period of time, but what happened was I would find like a batch of the steel wool laying on the ground. I thought at first maybe I pushed it too far in or maybe not far enough and it just kind of fell out on its own. That's not the case. What actually ended up happening was my mice actually pulled the steel wool out and still got in the trailer. So the whole idea of using steel wool, at least in Arizona, doesn't work. It may help a little bit. Some of these mice, if they really want to get in, they'll get in. Not this particular can. There's another great stuff that is green. I just don't have another green can with me. I've already used it all up and thrown it out, but they have a green one. And the green great stuff can actually has pesticide inside it. So when you fill up your space, it's designed so that when critters go to eat at it, they don't like it and they stay away. I've got all my gaps right now filled with that green great stuff foam. So that seems to be working the best. I can hear them at times trying to chew at it. It doesn't seem to last, meaning the chewing part. That seems to be working the best. So if you want to fight off or keep your mice from getting in your RV, the green can of great stuff seems to be the best option. Steel wool doesn't seem to work. It may work temporarily, but I'm out here off grid and there are just field mice everywhere. I guess it's just like the whole army thing. You just keep attacking and eventually you get through. Well, they keep attacking and eventually they got through, but they haven't been able to get through using the great stuff. Now, I have used, in the past I've used this. This just happens to be another bag I have that they had opened and I left it in my cupboards, but even though I have it filled with that great stuff, I went ahead and just left it in there in case they did get in there. But basically these bait works really good. The only problem you run in with this bait is it does kill them, but when they die, you don't know where they're at. Just like for an example, in that cage and that trap I just showed you earlier in this video, you know where they're at. Unless they walk away with that trap, I'll have to anchor that trap. You don't know where they go. So they could be in your walls, they could be in your floor, they could be hidden underneath something, and you'll never know until you start smelling them. And then that smell gets in everything and it just reeks. So you kind of don't want that. I placed a couple of these when I first started outside, and I noticed I've actually found 3 mice laying around dead, and I can't tell what killed them, so it must have been this stuff. But here's the other thing. I also found 1 rabbit. This affects their neural system. So I saw one of the mice kind of just laying there, kind of dying basically, and you could tell that this stuff was working on them in the same or not in the same deal, but the same way that they was acting was a rabbit, a small rabbit. Now, rabbits are a nuisance generally speaking anyhow, but here's the thing. Rabbits are a wildlife. I think they're cute. I like seeing wildlife. So as long as I can control the rabbits from getting into my future garden and they don't get into other things and cause problems, rabbits can stay. The mice, they can't stay. I'm going to have a perimeter around my place and they can't get within that perimeter. If they do, they're gone. I'm going to have zero tolerance for that. Rabbits, I'll just chase them out. The mice can hang out way 20 feet away from my trailer. They can do whatever they want out there, just not near my living quarters. So, and where I keep my food and stuff like that. They are not allowed. I will have zero tolerance. Now, that cage I just showed you, right over here, they call it a human way because when you catch the animal, they're alive. I'm not going to release them alive. They will die. And I know that some of you may not like that, but it's a mouse, it's a mice, it's a rat, whatever. And even if I go to release him even 2 miles from here, you know what, in the back of my mind, he's hunting me down and he's going to come back. And I don't want that. So the more I eliminate, the less likely I have to deal with them later. Guess you could call me the eliminator, the mouse eliminator, or rat eliminator, rodent eliminator. That's just kind of my update on the whole mice rat situation. Great stuff, but the green can works the best, keeping them out of your RV. Steel wool, maybe temporarily, but you know what? If they keep coming and keep coming and keep coming in waves, they're going to get you. The poison works great, but you don't know where they die. And that bothers me too, because you know what's going to happen? They're going to die in the wrong spot. So let me go and reset these traps, because I've caught 3 of them just recently, and I'm going to catch as many as I can.